Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Thursday, October 6th, 2022, and tonight I'll be covering paranormal news about haunted places. As always, you can find all of the episodes of the show, along with links to social media, ways to donate, and ways to contact me at the podcast page. And that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions, or if you have stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Always happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And thank you all for listening, as always. I'm trying out a little bit of a different volume setting on my headset tonight because the last couple of times I blasted myself with the recording bot notification sound. So, and I don't like that. So I had the volume turned down a little bit today, but hopefully it's still good. Thank you, Derek. Sounds good. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, and I made an announcement in my Discord server today, but I will also share it here. I have a couple. I think should be a lot of great shows scheduled for the for Halloween weekend. Basically, that Saturday, the 29th, I'll be having a good friend of the show and host of Trouble Minds Radio, Michael Strange, on the show with me. And I will save I will keep the topic of that show a secret until we get a little bit closer, and we'll go from there. So that'll be Saturday, the last Saturday of the month, basically, the 29th. And then Sunday, I want to do a special call-in show instead of the usual true paranormal stories from the web. And I figured that one we could just talk about our favorite paranormal media, whether it's movies or TV shows or books or comic books or whatever. I think that'll be a fun show to do. I'll talk about mine, and hopefully some people will want to call in. And that's part of why I'm announcing this now, so that you all can think about that. And then if you want to call in that night, that's the 30th. Then we can talk about that. So that should be a fun show. And then on Halloween itself, on Monday the 31st, Derek, the Night Stalker, will be joining me on the show again. He'll be on one other time this month as well. But he'll be joining me to talk about Michigan, my home state of Michigan, and anything and everything paranormal and weird we can find about the state. So that should be fun. I think it'll be good to have sort of the two perspectives. The one where I'm from the state and where he is not. So I think it'll be fun to see what we find and compare notes and all that. I've already found one article that I can I decided to save for the show. So that's the plans. I know that's a little ways off, but still, it'll be fun. I think it'll be a good weekend, and so yeah, regional deep dives. They're always, I think they're always interesting in a way, just because you never know until you look into a place, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to. I haven't started the research for that yet. That's actually part of my plans for this weekend. I'm going to make sure I do not do any extra shows, just so I have some time to do the research or start the research for that, as well as another show that's happening at the end of the month, the monthly deep dive. So, but yeah, that's the plans for that rest of the month or the end of the month, and hopefully it'll all go well. I think it will, and it should be fun. So, okay, cool, good. Yeah, Derek always brings a lot of stuff. If anyone hasn't listened to that one show we did a little while back, I think I called it Contact with the Other or something like that. You basically just look for the hour and a half long show, and that's probably the one. I think there's only one other show that got near that, and that was actually with another friend of the show, Rohan. We covered some hauntings over in the UK, but this one was more recent, so hopefully I'll be able to find it. And that was a lot of fun, and Derek brought a ton of research to that one as well, so it should be fun. The Michigan one should be fun based on that. So I've got I have 5 articles here, and all about haunted places around the U.S., different parts of the U.S., and even in Canada at one point. And there are all these lists of these places, so I'm just going to pick a couple of locations from each list and go over the what they say about them, and then leave the rest of each article for you all to check out. Of course, I've already put them in the stream chat for the live stream, and I will include the links to those as well in the YouTube and podcast feed episode descriptions. So I think that covers everything going on. So with that, I will get to these articles here, and I found these today, literally before the show started. In fact, I was going through them all, and when I got done, I looked at the clock, and I was about 5 minutes late in making my usual announcement of the stream. So that's about as recent or as fresh as you can get for material for the show. But anyway, that's a good thing it wasn't too much further in anyway. But so this first article is from thetravel.com, and the title is Saratoga Springs Truly Haunted? Let's see. These historic places say yes. And so let me see. I'm looking at here. This is apparently in New York, the state of New York. I was not even aware of that. I was thinking California. I don't know why, but so let's see here. Now I'm looking at these places, and I'm going to try to pick ones that I haven't heard of before, so that we're kind of both surprised by whatever I read here, because that's always fun. Now there are the first 2 places they mention here. The first one is the Canfield Casino, which I have heard of. And the second one, and I'll get to that in a minute, is actually a museum located within that casino, or within that former casino. So this is Canfield Casino, and it says it was a venue for basically marriages and appearances of deceased gamblers. So that's apparently the report there. And this casino, apparently, let's see here. It opened in 1870. It was known at the time as the Saratoga Clubhouse. In 1870, that's a good ways back. And the owner was let me see here, John Old Smoke Morrissey, was his name, and he opened the place with three restrictions or stipulations. It says, this is odd to me. It says those things were no women, okay, no locals, and cash only. And so, okay, so I see what was going on. This really started out as like a kind of gentleman's club, I guess, for tourists, wealthy tourists. And apparently Morrissey stayed with his laws. He or rules. He stuck to them. Not even, it says, let's see here. Even the people that went there, even though they were wealthy, he would not make any exceptions. And So it says that many people believe that the place is haunted by the famous people who formerly visited the location, um, and or some people that either had parties or gambled there. Let me see here, and it says that there have been reports of paranormal activity there for decades on and off, but it says that things have picked up in terms of reports, which is I always I always wonder how that goes and why that is. Um, okay, so some people say apparently that there's an exhibition of garments worn by the local women of Saratoga in the area. Was the cause of this increased activity. Mentions that there are reports of bats flying around in the location, temperature changes, and objects moving throughout the night. And then even women in Victorian era clothes, apparitions basically of these women, were seen in this location. And says that due to all the activity between 2007 and 2010, it was investigated by a team from, let's see, it says Ghost Hunters. I'm guessing they mean the TV series. Let's see here. So apparently now the location is still a popular venue for weddings and parties in general. And let's see here. Apparently that's the end of what it talks about as far as the paranormal there. So then this next location, one moment please. Okay, so this next location is, like I said, within this this casino, former casino, and it's the Saratoga Springs History Museum. And apparently a lot of the reports there are of odors of cigars and cigarettes reported there. I'm guessing maybe it's a no smoking location. It's a museum at this point. And let's see here. So of course it has several rooms and rotating exhibits, and it mentions that the furniture and antiques on the third floor belong to the a wealthy New York chancellor, Reuben H. Walworth's family, and that family, the Reuben's daughter-in-law was a writer. Okay, fairly famous writer, Ellen Hardin Walworth. So let's see, who was also a lawyer. And let's see here. They're going into more of the history of the location. It says there have been rumors of paranormal activity around the museum and and of course the former casino for a while. Mentions that the staff and visitors there have had experiences such as hearing crystal clinking or seeing a poker chip slide across the floor. Mentions there's also been reports of the odors of or the aromas of cigars and cigarettes, despite the building being smoke free. So that's what I thought. Excuse me. And then also there are reports of slamming of doors and also furniture rearranging. That to me is amazing because you're talking furniture. You're not talking a poker chip or a cup. So that's some major strength there, whatever's going on. There's also been reports of orbs seen at the location and an apparition of a man that have been seen there. And of course, the other apparitions are, and one of the most common apparitions is a woman in white who appears in different rooms and then vanishes just as quickly. So, Let me see here. So yeah, that's this first article here, and I'll let you all check out the rest of it. There's a lot more. And let's see here. Actually, let me see here. I'm not seeing a ton more. Then again, it could be I'm using that reader mode, so maybe it's only showing part of the article. But still, I'll let you all check out the rest of the article on your own. I always recommend people do that because there's more there than I can summarize, and there's usually pictures. So that's part of the fun of checking out these articles, especially if you don't get to go to those places in person. So, so I'll move on to the next article here. Once I check on chat here, make sure everything's doing well, and looks like oh, okay. Let's see here. Derek found some springs here. He says more mystical source water. Yeah, and John Morrissey and apparently a witch of Saratoga. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so that's a place to look into and go from there. So, all right. So this next article is it's from kansascitymag.com, and the title is Inside Kansas City's 8 Most Haunted Places. And of course, like I said, we'll just go through through a couple of these and let you all read the rest on your own. So let's see here. I'm just scrolling down. Okay, so this first location they talk about is now apparently known as the Belvoir Winery and an inn, and also apparently it was an old fellow's home, and that I believe is a secret, or not quite secret necessarily, but society or group, and apparently this place used to be a compound for them. And this is in, let's see here. I believe Kansas City is Missouri. Doesn't really say. But it mentions that the Old Fellows compound in Liberty, so that's like, I guess, near the area of Kansas City, has a lot of reports of paranormal activity there. Apparently, this place might still be active as a Old Fellows location. So, mentions that it was the place was constructed to provide care for its members, widows, and orphans on what was at the time a 240-acre farm. The property says now consists of the old orphanage, which is where the winery and inn is located, and the other buildings, which are the old folks' home, the hospital, and the nursing home, and or morgue, are abandoned, it says, and in various states of decay. Mentions there's also a cemetery on the northern end of the property where basically the remains of people that passed there were buried. Mentions nearly 600 people. I'm guessing that's over a vast period of time. And so apparently there is even, now this is odd, I wonder if it leads to activity. There is a skeleton of an Old Fellows member who died in the 1880s and donated his body to science. And it says he was later returned to the organization to be used in initiation rituals. Huh. I wonder what those involve. So, let's see here. There are stories that are told about the place, the orphanage building, being filled with the spirits of children who wander the halls singing nursery rhymes. That'd be creepy, but amazing. It says in other buildings, visitors have reported hearing a piano playing on its own. Employees have heard footsteps and seen doors open and close, lights turn on and off, and heard kids running through the halls. And I know a lot of people, when they hear about hauntings that seem to involve kids, they either freak out because they assume or they believe that it can't be a kid. There can't be kid spirits. It has to be something else or someone else pretending. Or in some cases, it's just a case where there must have been some terrible tragedy there. But one thing I've been noticing in some of these stories and that I've read over the years, it seems like sometimes, and this is true for adults and so possibly for kids, I wonder if spirits make their own version of a heavenly afterlife in places that they were fond of or that they really had good memories of. And I don't know that as far as in this location. There are also reports of people meeting loved ones in dreams or seeing them in a ghost kind of encounter, spirit form kind of thing, where they appear to be younger. So, hopefully, in this case, those kids are not necessarily there because of a tragedy or because they're stuck there. It's just or because they're not kids. It's more of one of these other options that I just mentioned. So, so I'm looking more into this here. Of course, there has been different teams of paranormal investigators that have checked out the location, and apparently one member of this one of these crews reported being grabbed on the arm by a spirit while exploring one of the old buildings. Another investigator claimed that he saw shadow figures during one of his many investigations into the place. And let's see here. Another show from a major network mentioned that the investigators from that one made contact with the spirit of a past hospital resident that was there, as well as with the child spirits. Says that the abandoned buildings are not open to the public, but the winery and inn does offer paranormal investigations at night, led by members of the paranormal research investigators. It says they are okay. So it goes into more details about the location and the tours and everything. This is actually a really good article because it goes into more detail than a lot of these articles usually do. Let's see here. I'm just trying to find the name of the next location. So let me see here. Looking at, okay, so the next one is the Folly Theater in Kansas City. Again, we go back to the idea that so many theaters seem to be haunted. Apparently opened in 1900. It says that hundreds of performances have been on the stage, and the theater has 3 decades worth of stories. 3 decades worth of stories to tell? Okay. And let's see here. It mentions that there was one of the stories, the common stories is I'm sorry. One of the stories that most people don't know about is the manager at the time of the opening of the theater. He managed there from 1900 to 1922. Apparently, his spirit is still said to be at the theater, and there have been staff there that have reported seeing. Let's see here. Or a sighting where when a police officer looked into a window of the theater while it was closed, he claimed to see a man at the bar. And he said that he saw what appeared to be a man with a white top hat and tails. I'm guessing they mean just dress clothes. And it says that by the time the police got there with their keys, or maybe the staff of the hotel or the inn got there with their keys, they couldn't find any trace of the person that they'd seen in there. And it turns out that this description matched that of the original owner. So let's see here. Looking at this more. So yeah, that's basically the extent of that section on that location. But still quite the sighting, and those are always amazing to me because what is that? Is that the spirit? Is that again some kind of a time anomaly there? Always hard to tell, especially with no interaction. So there's another 6 locations in this article, and I will leave it for you all to check out on your own. So this next article is about New Jersey. And let's see here. Yes, there you go. Derek is showing more pictures in the chat. I always recommend everyone. Yeah, I think maybe that's what Derek mentions. There might be an asylum there too, regarding the Oddfellows location. I wonder if that's maybe what the hospital was part of. Okay, so yeah, I always recommend everyone check out the Discord server. Join if you can, and then because you'll get to see all the pictures that everyone shares in the streams that I don't get to share on the obviously on the podcast, so or the YouTube videos. So yeah, that's that neat article there, and so this next one, like I said, is about New Jersey. This one is from NJ1015.com. And the title is, let's see here. Once I find it again. Okay. I lost it again. Oh, there we go. I scrolled too far down. Ghosts of New Jersey. The real stories behind these haunted places. And let's see here. Goes into a little bit of the author's history, experiences with the paranormal. The first location they talk about is Burlington Prison. I believe I've heard of this. So this is Burlington County Prison. But I'm not sure. That's the one downside of looking into so many of these places. Apparently, it was constructed in 1811 and meant to house only 40 inmates. But of course, as time went on, it held up to 100 convicts, and a few, it says in the article, possibly remained there still even after they had passed. Apparently, the prison was in operation for 155 years, and there's even one prisoner there that says, or that is said to still be in the location, who follows people around during the tours of the location and the museum that has set up there now. And apparently so it just says that he's known for moaning and following visitors around the museum. Let's see here. It says he first made his presence known in 1999 when the remodeling project began for the museum. That's one thing, a common thing for anyone that is not aware. Remodeling locations can stir things up a little bit, or a lot. It mentions that there are reports of tools being stolen and then left elsewhere. Reports of strange noises, and then apparitions of this one prisoner. And let's see here. There are also orbs and other anomalies caught on film. So, I always wonder about that with prisons, how much of that energy that was generated by all the people that stay there, regardless of their situation, how much of that sticks around, and how much of that can cause paranormal activity in these places, similar but not the same, obviously, as hospitals and or asylums and or even hotels. So this next location is the Terhune. I'm not sure. Terhune Memorial Park, and that's in Wayne, New Jersey. And apparently, this location is known to have it says a phantom dog. So let's see here. It mentions that a famous author or esteemed author, it says, named Albert Payson Terhune, purchased an area in Wayne, and he meant for it to be a summer home, but moved in full time in 1912. And during his time at the location, he started breeding rough collies. It says, and it says that when the breeding became a successful business, apparently, he opened the Sunnybank Kennels on his property, where he continued to breed and sell collies to local people. And so let's see here. There was one dog that he had a special connection with, who was a mixed breed collie bull terrier, and this dog was named Rex, and apparently the two were basically inseparable. People over time claim to see them there together at all times. And let's see here. So apparently, after Rex passed, of course natural causes, people would report seeing him sitting at Albert's feet or wandering the property. Albert claimed he never saw the apparition, but people that did see the apparition would report seeing the image of the dog that was so lifelike that he was often mistaken as the real dog after his passing. Of course, eventually Albert passed in 1942, and the estate fell into disrepair, and it was sold to the state of New Jersey. And it was repurposed into a public park. And apparently you can find many graves for dogs that once lived in the kennel. And people believe that Rex's grave is there as well, partially because of seeing this apparition of this dog still wandering around the location. So, again, going back to ghost dogs. Let's see here. There's one more location, and I will leave that for you all to check out on your own, and move on to the next article here. Gotta wrap this up fairly soon here, but got two more articles to check into. Let's see here. Looking at the chat. So yeah, Derek says, I always wonder where they're built to, if it's a mystical spot before it's a prison. Right? Yeah, could be. So let's see here. Like I said, I have two more articles. This next one is from rock929rocks.com. That's I kind of like that name, actually. That's pretty neat that they were able to put that in there. Anyway, this is let's see here. The title is the 12 most haunted places in Massachusetts. So I saw this one, and of course, right away I thought of Derek. Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny that I found this article, and featuring the state where Derek lives, and just as we're planning to do a whole show on where I live, so that was kind of funny. So let me get into this article here. Again, there's 12 places mentioned. I'll just probably go over the first couple, or at least just whatever couple that I haven't heard of before. And let me see here. Scrolling down to get more into this here. They mention Salem, Massachusetts. Of course, where the Salem witch trials. So we won't go into that because it's a fairly well-known thing. They mentioned the Lizzie Borden house. Again, another one of those locations that is fairly well-known. So the first one here that I do not recognize is Metropolitan State Hospital in Waltham, Waltham, Waltham. And this was a mental health facility that was opened in 1927 and closed in 1992. And, of course, for the last 30 years, it's drawn paranormal investigators from all over the globe. Let's see here. And so it's become popular among paranormal shows and those kind of things. Okay, so that doesn't really go into... That's odd. That's all it says about the place. I'm not so sure about this article now. Anyway. The next one it says is the Husak Tunnel, North Adams. It mentions that it runs through the northern stretch of the Berkshire Mountains. Again, going back to mountains. And this mountain connects from Massachusetts to Florida, this mountain range. Work on the tunnel, it says, started in 1851 and ended in 1975. And of course it mentions that because of the work being done in that tunnel and the hazards of that, many workers passed away there, so that's what they're implying is the cause of activity there that they, again, do not really mention. So that's odd. Let's see here. House of the Seven Gables, they mentioned that one. Looking at... So yeah, I did not realize this article was not quite so good. So let's see here. All right, the next one we'll cover here. This one is the Omni Parker House, Boston. And this is a hotel, luxury hotel, it says. And it mentions it opened back in 1855. And the original owner, or founder, Harvey Parker, is said to move through the halls there. Let me see here. I wonder if it's because I'm using that reader mode thing. That could be part of it. I don't know. I don't think it is, because it's still showing most of the article. But let's see here. Now, let's see. I'm looking at this for more. I'll go over one more location. Oh, here's one. Here's quite the name. Spider Gates Cemetery in Leicester. So let's see here. This legend here, it says that in this place, if you pass through the cemeteries... Okay, I've heard of this. Actually, no, I haven't heard of this legend. But there's a very similar one in Pennsylvania. It says, legend has it that if you pass through the cemetery's 7 unseen gates, then you'll go to not so good of a place, if you know what I mean. But it's really odd because I've heard of a similar legend in Pennsylvania. So I think I'll leave that article just because it doesn't go into a lot of detail about any one location, but there is an odd similarity there. I've heard of, like I said, on another show that I used to listen to a lot, I've heard about a similar place. Let's see here. Yeah. North Adams. Yeah, that's out in Western Mass in the mountains. Tons of weird sites out there. Maybe we need to do here's an idea for a show at some point, Derek, is a show on your state. That could be fun. Of course, not right away, but maybe something we can do in November. So, yeah, that sounds like it'd be fun to do. Okay, so I have one last article left here. This is it's from thetravel.com. And this is 10 of the most haunted places you can visit around the Great Lakes. So this isn't just in one state. This is all around the area. And so I'm just going to pick out a couple places that I've never heard of before. This first one I'll mention here is McBurney Park in Kingston, Ontario. This park, it says, is a family-friendly, I guess it means, playground featuring open walking paths and equipment. That's also apparently a licensed cemetery. And it has a nickname of Skeleton Park because of that. It says it was used since the late 19th century, before it was a park. It was a burial ground for the city's residents. And let's see here. Apparently, while people have claimed, visiting the park, people have claimed to encounter children who then suddenly disappear in the blink of an eye. That's odd. Again, the whole children ghost thing is really weird to me. Okay, so this is another one where they're pretty quick little sections here on these places. This next one is Erie Cemetery in Erie, Pennsylvania. Yes, that is an actual name, in case anyone was wondering. Because it overlooks a lake known as Lake Erie. So there you go. There's a cemetery right on a lake. Water. That's a recurring theme, it seems like, in a lot of cases in the paranormal. Mentions that it's in the downtown core of Erie, and it's described as peaceful and beautiful. But it's also, there are reports of, let's see here. It's also known as the Vampire's Crypt. Let's see what that's about, if it says anything. It mentions that in the 19th century, late 19th century, there are reports of untimely deaths, in which the people that died were said to look like they were attacked by vampires. And it mentions just to be respectful of the location, and to learn more about the history by taking a guided tour. So let's see here. I'm gonna skip over this next one because we already covered that state. Here's a little preview, I guess, of Michigan. This next one is, and I've heard of this place, and I've even seen something on the news about it years ago. Whitefish Point Lighthouse in Whitefish Bay, Michigan. That's what it was. So there was a local group of paranormal investigators that did a couple of presentations at the library near me. And one of the locations they showed evidence from was, and talked about, was this lighthouse. And this was not anywhere near me, though. I think this is like northern Michigan. It overlooks Lake Superior. And it's also home to the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum, a bird observatory, and nature preserve. And it's also famous for being hotspot of ghost sightings, mysterious fogs, and sightings of ghost ships that are said to appear on the lake, and I'm guessing disappear as well. So, I'm gonna have to save this one. I think I'm looking here to see what else it has. I think I might just leave it, but yeah. So there's the rest of the article for you all to check out, and has other locations in it. So, definitely read that, and there's one other Michigan location in there. So, yeah, that covers everything for tonight. But thank you all for being here and for listening. And I'll be back on Sunday with more true paranormal stories from the web. Monday will be paranormal news. Tuesday will be more stories. Wednesday will be a book review episode. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet for that. It'll either be, as usual, it'll either be Lovecraft or Stephen King, one of the two, depending on how things go. So, that's it for tonight. Thank you all for listening and for being here. And I will talk to you all on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.